Hey everyone, and welcome to a super quick deep dive on something I know a lot of you are dealing with.
Oh, this is going to be a good one.
It is. We're going to be talking about hiring Sinon.JS developers and what you need to know. ThePerfectDeveloper.com, they're kind of the authority on connecting businesses with awesome developers.
For sure.
They gave us some really, really good insights for this one. So, if you are looking to hire Sinon.JS developers,
Definitely check out theperfectdeveloper.com.
yes. And actually, you can try out the 5 questions at ThePerfectDeveloper.com. That'll help you get started on your developer search. Okay, so let's jump right in.
Yeah.
What is Sinon.JS? Why is this such a big deal in software development these days?
So Sinon.JS is a JavaScript testing library. It lets developers isolate and test individual parts of their code. You can kind of think of it like it makes sure that each component is working perfectly, in a controlled environment before it's integrated with the rest of the project.
Okay.
So this ensures higher code quality. It makes it much easier to find and fix bugs early on, ultimately saving time and resources. It's all about efficiency.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So if Sign.JS is all about testing, what does a Sign.JS developer actually do, like on a day-to-day basis?
So they write and execute tests, making sure that the different parts of the code base are all functioning as expected. They're also responsible for integrating Sinon.JS into existing projects, collaborating with other developers, and optimizing testing processes. It's a role that really requires a deep understanding of JavaScript, testing methodologies, and obviously Sinon.JS itself.
Makes sense, makes sense. So let's say you're ready to hire a Sign.JS developer. What are some of the must-have skills that you should be looking for?
So first and foremost, you really want someone who's fluent in JavaScript,
Mhm.
particularly the newer ES6 Plus syntax, which is pretty commonly used with Sinon.JS. They should also have experience working with testing frameworks like Mocha, Chai, or Jasmine. And of course, deep knowledge of Sinon.JS is essential, including the ability to use its various features like spies, stubs, and mocks to create realistic testing scenarios.
Spies, stubs, and mocks.
That sounds kind of cool. Can you break those down for me?
Sure.
What are those?
So these are features within Sign.JS that let developers simulate various conditions and interactions. A spy essentially observes and records how a function is used without altering its behavior.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a silent observer gathering information.
I like it.
Yeah. And then we have stubs. A stub is basically like a stand-in. It replaces an existing function with pre-programmed behavior, which makes it much easier to test specific scenarios.
So you're kind of controlling the environment to make sure the code you're testing is behaving correctly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we also have mocks. Mocks are basically simulated objects that verify specific interactions are happening as expected. So for example, you could use a mock to ensure that different components of your application are communicating correctly.
Okay, so these spies, stubs, and mocks, they're all about making testing more comprehensive, right? And ensuring the code is reliable and robust.
Precisely. They're really powerful tools that help developers catch those potential issues early on, leading to a smoother development process and a higher quality product.
This is really helpful. Okay, so now that we have a better understanding of what to look for in a Sign.JS developer, let's maybe shift our focus to the hiring process itself. I know that theperfectdeveloper.com, they offer some great resources on this. Can you tell me more about the different hiring models that they suggest?
Absolutely. So theperfectdeveloper.com highlights several popular hiring models. We've got full-time, part-time, freelance, and contract options. Each model has its own pros and cons, obviously. And theperfectdeveloper.com does a great job of providing an overview, to help you weigh those carefully.
So choosing the right hiring model really depends on the specific needs of the project, the budget, and the level of commitment that you're looking for, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And theperfectdeveloper.com really emphasizes the importance of thoroughly understanding your project's requirements, before you make any decision.
That's a great point, yeah. It's all about finding that best fit for the project and the development team. This has been so valuable. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in a very short amount of time. What are your final thoughts for our listener before we wrap up this part?
So remember, testing is crucial for any software project, and Sign.JS is a super powerful tool in that process. If you're looking to hire a Sign.JS developer, focus on finding someone with a strong understanding of JavaScript fundamentals, someone with experience in relevant testing frameworks, and of course, a deep understanding of Sign.JS itself, including its various features. And don't forget to explore the different hiring models available to you. ThePerfectDeveloper.com can provide really valuable insights on that front.
Awesome, great advice. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. It's fascinating how much goes into making sure that software is actually, good quality and reliable.
It really is.
It's not just about like writing the
Yeah,
code.
for sure.
It's about testing it rigorously and making sure it's robust. So, shifting gears a little bit, theperfectdeveloper.com mentions like, when you're hiring a Sinon.js developer, thinking about that hiring model, what does that really mean?
Yeah, so theperfectdeveloper.com highlights a few hiring models. We got full-time, part-time, freelance, and contract. And each of these have their own pros and cons. So for instance, full-time employees offer stability. They're really integrated into your team. But that also comes with higher overhead costs.
Right.
Freelancers, on the other hand, offer a lot of flexibility. They might have a specialized expertise in a certain area, but managing, multiple freelancers can get pretty challenging.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you figure out which model is best for your needs?
So theperfectdeveloper.com really stresses, understanding your project scope, knowing your budget and your timeline. Are you looking for a long-term team member? Are you looking for someone just to do a short-term project? You need a dedicated expert, or can the work be kind of divided between a few freelancers?
I see. So it's all about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
between like what the project actually needs and what resources you have available.
Exactly. And that's where theperfectdeveloper.com can really help you out. They have tons of information and resources to guide you through the process, to help you make informed decisions about what hiring model best aligns with your goals.
They really are like the go-to resource, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm.
do you have any final words of wisdom
Mm.
for our listeners who are really interested in getting a Sign.JS developer on board?
So if you're serious about building high-quality software, investing in a skilled Sign.JS developer is the way to go. They bring a unique set of skills to the table. They allow you to thoroughly test your code, identify any potential issues early on, and ultimately, deliver a much more robust and reliable product to your users.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And if our listeners are ready to take that next step, where should they go?
Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try out their 5 questions. This really innovative tool will help you pinpoint the ideal developer for your project, make the whole hiring process much smoother and more efficient. It's the perfect way to kickstart your search for the perfect sign-on.js developer.
Awesome. This has been such an informative deep dive. I feel like we went from the basics of Sign-On Digest to the intricacies of hiring, all in just a few minutes. Our listeners now should feel totally empowered to start their Sign-On Digest developer search. So it sounds like theperfectdeveloper.com really takes the guesswork out of finding the right developer.
They really do. Their insights into hiring models combined with their 5 questions tool can save you a ton of time and effort.
So to recap for our listeners today, we've really explored the world of Sign.JS. It's this powerful JavaScript testing library that plays a crucial role in building, top-notch software.
We also dug into the key skills you need to be looking for when hiring a Sign.JS developer, highlighting their expertise in JavaScript, testing frameworks, and, of course, Sign.JS itself.
And we can't forget about those intriguing spies, stubs, and mocks. They're essential tools in the Sign.JS toolkit that let developers simulate all kinds of scenarios and really thoroughly test their code.
Exactly. They're all about making sure that that code is robust, reliable, and ready for anything.
And throughout this deep dive, theperfectdeveloper.com has been an invaluable resource, offering insights on those different hiring models and giving us tools like the 5 questions to really streamline that developer search.
They're truly dedicated to connecting businesses with the best developers, so it makes the whole process much easier.
So our final takeaway for you today: if you're looking to hire a Sign.JS developer, remember to focus on those key skills we discussed. Think about what your project really needs, and don't hesitate to use that expertise from theperfectdeveloper.com.
Their 5 questions tool can guide you to that perfect developer match, setting your project up for success.
Absolutely. And remember, head over to theperfectdeveloper.com. Give the 5 questions a try.
You won't regret it.
Okay, that wraps up our mini deep dive on hiring Sign.JS developers. Thanks for tuning in. So it sounds like theperfectdeveloper.com really takes all the guesswork out of finding the right developer.
They do. Their insights on those hiring models and that 5 questions tool, that can save you so much time and effort.
So to recap for our listeners today, we've explored the world of Sign.JS, this powerful JavaScript testing library, crucial for building top-notch software.
Yeah, and we've also talked about the key skills to look for when you're hiring a Sign.JS developer, highlighting their expertise in JavaScript, testing frameworks, and of course, Sinon.JS itself.
And we can't forget about those spies, stubs, and mocks. Essential tools in the Sinon.js toolkit really let you simulate different scenarios and thoroughly test that code.
Exactly. It's all about making sure that the code is robust, reliable, ready for anything.
And throughout this whole deep dive, the perfectdeveloper.com has just been such a valuable resource, offering insights on those different hiring models. And those tools, like the 5 questions, really streamlines the developer search.
They're so dedicated to connecting businesses with the best developers, makes the whole process so much easier.
So our final takeaway for you today, if you're looking to hire a Sinon.js developer, focus on those key skills we talked about. Consider your project needs carefully. And don't hesitate to tap into the expertise at theperfectdeveloper.com.
Yeah, that 5 questions tool, that can guide you to the perfect match for your project. Really set you up for success.
Absolutely. And remember, head over to theperfectdeveloper.com, give the 5 questions a try.
You won't regret it.
All right, that wraps up our mini deep dive today on hiring Sinon.js developers. Thanks for joining us.